Hi, on today's How Do I Make That? I am making a pear crisp. This is a raw crisp. You could always put it in the oven if you would like to do that. But I'm starting with these really cute organic pears. I'm making enough for 3, so I figure 1 pear per person, right? Now I'm going to be using a mandolin. You could use a sharp knife, but this is just so easy. And because it's raw, I want it nice and really thin slices. You could chop it or just use your regular knife. That works too. So if you use a mandolin, you should use a guard. Don't copy me not using a guard. I did cut the side of my thumb off one time. Okay, so I'm going to just cut these really thinly sliced. See, look, they're like papery thin here. Can you see that? I'm going to continue doing that and filling up my bowl. Okay, you can see my bowl of pears is full. So the next thing I'm going to do is add the juice of a lemon. Now I used 3 pears, but you could use whatever fruit you want. You could use apples, you could use pears and blueberries, you could use apples and pears, whatever you want. Peaches. I think pretty much any fruit will work with this. Adding some cherries to this would be beautiful. Add that wonderful color. Anyway, I'm adding some vitamin C. I'm adding lemons here. And that helps to prevent the fruit from turning brown, that antioxidant. The oxidant is the browning process. And so I'm just going to kind of toss these. And I want to add a little bit of ginger. Now you could leave this off, or you could use powdered ginger if you want. But I like a little fresh ginger, not too much because it can be a little bit spicy, but I just love the flavor of ginger with pears. So I'm going to put a little bit of ginger on here. Maybe a teaspoon. It's so anti-inflammatory. It's going to add so many health benefits to this pear crisp. Now I'm going to put this away and grab a spoon. Okay, so now I'm just going to toss this so that the ginger gets on all of the slices as well as the lemon juice. And the lemon juice is also going to help to break down some of these fibers. I did slice it nice and thin. Since I'm not going to be baking it, I want it nice and soft. And so nice and thin with the acid from the lemon juice is really going to help it soften some. Okay, so now I want this to go into my bowls. And like I said, I'm making enough for 3. It might even be more than will fit in these 3, but we'll see. Going to spoon these into my little bowls. And you may even want to sprinkle on a little stevia or a little monk fruit or something, depending on how sweet your pears are. These pears are really sweet, and so I'm not going to add any other sweetener. But you could sprinkle on a little stevia or some monk fruit if you wanted. Okay, so that's perfect. My bowls are full, so I can set that aside. I like to clean as I go, so let me move these as I go. So here are my little bowls here, and now I need to make the topping. So I'm going to turn that to the side, get it out of my way. And for my crisp, I'm not going to be using oats or anything like that. I'm just using nuts, actually. Nuts and some flavorings. So I have a cup of, this is pecans and almonds, but you could use walnuts if you want to boost your omega-3s, which is more anti-inflammatory. There are a lot of healthy fats in pecans and in almonds, but if you want even more anti-inflammatory effects, then you want to swap some of these with walnuts. So I'm going to add my cup of nuts to my food processor, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of almond butter. This is just going to help it all kind of stick together a little bit more like a crisp. I'm going to add a splash of vanilla. And I want to add some cinnamon. So I'm just going to sprinkle it on, but about a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to throw in about a 1/4 cup of coconut flakes. These are raw coconut flakes that are, or coconut chips that are unsweetened. And then I'm going to add a little bit of monk fruit. Now notice, see the color of my monk fruit. This is not processed monk fruit. It is, but not that way. It's not refined. And so I'm just going to put in, it comes with this cute little scooper. So I'm going to put one little scoop of monk fruit. And then I'm going to add my flavoring. So we added our cinnamon. You could just stick with the cinnamon. I like a little nutmeg. And so I have this cute little nutmeg grinder. I'm going to put a little nutmeg in here. And maybe a little bit of cardamom. And then this is completely up to you, but I do like to add a little bit of salt. So the salt just helps bring out the sweetness. So I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in there. And I didn't realize everything's off screen. Let me slide over a little. Maybe you can see it better now. Okay, so now I'm just going to pulse this until it forms a crumble. Okay, so here is our crumble, and I can squeeze it and it will clump up, and so that is what I want. I'm going to put this on top of my pears. It smells so good, the cinnamon and the vanilla with those nuts. And so I'm putting about 3 heaping spoonfuls on each one. You could finish it all off if you want. You could save this to go on your chia pudding or a grain-free porridge. I'm going to just leave it and set it aside for breakfast. So these, I'm going to stick in my dehydrator to warm them up. I'm going to put them on the lowest setting, which is 115. For mine goes to 105. I'm gonna put it at 115 just to keep them nice and warm, because when I eat a crisp, I like it to be nice and warm. So I'm just gonna put these in there, clean up, and then we'll make a cream to go on top. Okay, so now we're ready to make the cream to go on top of our crisp. So I have a half a cup of cashews soaking here, and so you can see they are soaking in water. I'm gonna go and rinse these off, and then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of water in my blender, and then I can add whatever seasoning I want. So whatever, you don't have to use cashews. You can use any kind of nuts and seeds that you want. I like cashews. They're really nice and creamy. Sometimes I'll add hemp seeds to them to give it more protein, but also creaminess, and they're high in omega-3s. So let me go rinse these, and I'll be right back. Okay, the cashews are soaked and rinsed, so you can see they're nice and plump, and so they're going to blend up and be really creamy. So what I'm going to do is put a 1/4 cup of water in first, because sometimes the cashews will get stuck under the blades, and then I'm going to add in the cashews. Now, because this is going to be for a crisp, I want it to be a little bit sweet, and so I'm going to add a little bit of monk fruit, and I'm going to add some cinnamon just because it kind of goes with the flavors of my crisp. So let me grab those. I put them away when I was cleaning up. Okay, so this time I'm only going to put about a 1/4 of a spoonful of this monk fruit, because I don't have much of a sweet tooth anymore now that I'm used to eating this way. Things taste really sweet to me. So you may want to adjust that for your level of sweetness. And then maybe a 1/4 cup of cinnamon as well. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Okay. My blender's pretty big, and so if your blender's really big, you may need to add a little more cashews and a little more liquid, because it may not get it as smooth and creamy. You can see mine's a little bit lumpy, even though I kept blending and blending and blending. It's because my blender is just really big. So I'm going to add a little bit more water, and I'm going to grab our crisp from the dehydrator. Just about another tablespoon of water. Okay, I forgot to add some vanilla. So we need a little bit of vanilla, maybe a half a teaspoon. And then blend it nice and smooth. And I'm gonna top my crisp with some cashew cream. And get it a little bit more. Didn't want to drown it. Here we go. Here is our Pear Crisp with cashew cream. Did I just call it apple crisp? Pear Crisp. Anyway, let me know if you make this recipe. It's delicious with the cinnamon and the nuts and the pears. Once again, swap out the nuts you want to use, swap out the fruit you want to use, and even swap out the cream, whatever you want in there. I would add some hemp seeds maybe. I like the cashews. Some people like macadamia, whatever. Anyway, let me know what you think. Please comment. You know I love to hear from you. And enjoy. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with your friends.